I think the writing is on the wall where the need for going to green mobility, the time has come.
What would excite an investor?
Returns start literally within 48 hours. So there is no gestation period.
How much can we chew? 25%, 30% converted into an EV or an LNG truck?
Why not 100%?
Hello and welcome to AltWaves, the podcast where we explore new and exciting stories in the area of alternate asset investments. I am your host today, Amit Jain, partner Kotak Infrastructure Fund. This is our second episode where we plan to explore and deep dive in the area of energy transition. We are very pleased to have Mr. Anshuman Ruia today with us. Mr. Ruia is promoter director of SR Group and promoter Greenline Mobility Solutions. Mr. Ruia has led the entry and expansion of SR Group into clean energy. Anshuman, welcome to the show. We are very pleased to have you today.
Thanks, Amit, for having me here today. And I'm sure we'll have a fantastic conversation going forward.
Before I start, let me ask you to go a little bit about history and tell us what prompted you to get into this niche space of LNG trucks to solve the carbon footprint issue of corporate India.
So I think this idea came to me probably 3 years ago, and this was around the COVID time, towards the end of COVID. And I was thinking about what do we do in the green energy space, and one of the big areas which I think India needed to solve was heavy duty trucking. The pollution which is being caused in that sector is very large, and what I was seeing that was there was not much solutions being found around that. So when we were thinking about it, we really felt that the way to do green mobility is to find a solution which is no different in terms of cost than what is currently existing, which is diesel trucks. And we felt that if we could come up with a solution where we could convert the entire fleet of mobility to green at the same cost as diesel, then the adoption of that could be very quick, and the market for that would be very large. So that's where the whole thesis came up with, and we felt that the first stage to launch that would have been the LNG trucks, which was very prominent and popular in China. And the second wave of that, which is coming right now, is the electric truck. So I think these two would probably find a way to resolve India's decarbonization of heavy-duty trucking in India.
Very interesting. And as we've been interacting on this topic, which is very close to your heart, you often tell us that you've traveled across the world, observed these initiatives across countries. Primarily, if you look at Europe and China, and if we compare these countries' cargo movement versus India, where do you see the changes and transition that is happening in this area?
So I think each market is very different. The challenges of each market, whether it's America, Europe, or China, India, is very different. And therefore, you cannot paint all countries and all solutions with the same brush. What I see in China, India tracks China very closely, and the solutions which are happening in China, I think, is more apt for a market like India. So we definitely see the huge electric revolution in China, LNG and electric both. More than 50% of all new vehicles have gone green in China, and especially in heavy duty trucking, these two is driving the big change in China for adoption of green technology. In America and Europe, it's a little bit different. That's because they travel a lot more distances, almost 1,200 kilometers a day, and therefore the charging infrastructure and the size of the battery and the weight of the battery becomes a bigger challenge. In India, we travel about 300 kilometers a day, so our needs and requirements are a little bit different than what is there. So we feel that we are tracking more China, and the solutions which are available today is definitely more possible to be executed in India today itself, rather than wait for new technology which will come out in the future.
And When you look at India today, and if you were to visualize how would it look like 3 year hence, how do you see LNG trucking and electric trucks in India, their composition vis-a-vis the overall market today, changing over, let's say, next 3 to 5 years?
So I think that the singularity moment where heavy duty trucking of LNG and electric at the same cost of diesel has come. And the moment that has happened, the market is fundamentally undergoing a big change. Definitely today, CO2 emission is on the top of the minds of all the large companies. And if they find an economical solution, which they do not have to pay anything more than what they're currently paying, I think the adoption of that is going to be very, very rapid. So I definitely see a very big shift to clean energy trucking and reduction of CO2, which is going to take place in India over the next few years. The market itself is very large, and I think it's a very exciting time for both the corporates who are going to adopt because they have a possibility to go green at no incremental cost, and at the same time for the whole ecosystem who's looking to build this because the market is going to be extremely large, and that offers an opportunity for everyone to participate in that growth.
One more interesting question I had in mind. When we look at from an investor perspective, why would an investor invest in your idea vis-a-vis investing in much more proven projects like a solar project or a wind project? What would excite an investor?
I think most of the green projects which are there, people talking about renewable hydrogen, there are so many fantastic new ideas coming up. The big change between this one and some of the other industries is that those industries have a very long gestation period. If you want to put up an integrated hydrogen plant, come renewable plant, they will take a long period of time. Of course, solar is a little bit shorter, between 6 to 12 months, but some of the other investments of decarbonization is anywhere between 3 to 5 years. The advantage of green mobility is that the cash flows and returns start literally within 48 hours. So there is no gestation period. It's a repeatable product which rolls off the factory, and it's very predictable. So I think that's the big difference in my mind, that there is no long gestation period, and at the same time the carbon emission reduction happens from literally from day one. So I think that is one of the big differentiators which is there between what we are trying to do and some of the other fantastic opportunities in decarbonization, but it has a longer gestation period.
From investor perspective, one of the key ask is always how big is the opportunity size? And if you look at the transport business in India, how do you see the market potential for EV truck or LNG truck in India?
So the market is extremely large. Currently, India has about 4 million medium to heavy duty trucks on the road. And if in India grows at 7% a year, over the next 10 years, this 4 million is going to go to 8 million trucks. So the sheer size of the truck market over the next 10 years is going to be extremely large. And I think this whole industry is ripe for disruption. And therefore, we think that a large percentage of this fleet over the next 10 years is going to go green.
How much can we chew? 25%, 30% converted into an EV or an LNG truck? How much do you see at the
Why not
potential?
100%? I
Oh,
think I think that's really the dream. That if we can make India carbon free for heavy duty trucking, that is the aspiration that we should look for. I think it's doable, and if all the constituents play its part, then I think this is a target that we should take for ourselves.
I really like the aggression. This is how a big and bold India should think. So,
Absolutely.
one of the other stakeholder is how does your idea change a driver's life? A driver keep asking, इसमें मेरा क्या है? So can you give an idea in terms of how can your product change the life of a common driver?
Very interesting question. So I must start off by saying that I had an experience of driving a heavy duty electric truck. I was first very apprehensive about because I haven't driven a truck before. So getting onto the wheel, driving it, that was something which was completely new to me, and I really didn't think about have the experience of having driven something like that before. So I sat onto the truck, and uh, to my surprise, it literally took me 20 seconds to get comfortable driving it. It's no different than driving our existing cars which are on the roads today. There's only a brake, there's an accelerator, and a steering wheel, which is in today's modern cars which do not have gears, and it's all automatic. So that was a big change. To my mind, the entire concept of driver fatigue will undergo a big change. We think that there'll be at least a 30 to 40% drop in driver fatigue, which is very good for the industry and also for the all drivers. That would make driving safer for everyone on the road, and I think all of these things which are coming with the new age technology is only going to increase driver experience, reduce accidents, and I think that is the need of the hour for a country like ours and probably any other country. We need to adopt the newer technologies. We need to make sure that we make the roads and driving a safer place to be at.
Okay, that's really sound. I'm sure the driver community would love to drive one of these trucks very soon. Whenever we look at any new emerging industry, there are always bottlenecks in and around the associated infrastructure. If I look at this industry, one of the key issue, if I look at LNG trucks per se, would be the fuel stations. And if I look at the electric vehicles, the charging stations. So how do you see this infrastructure growing in line with the numbers that you are projecting?
So I think infrastructure growth has always been a challenge for all companies looking to build infrastructure, and that's not any different for LNG trucking or for charging stations. I think we started this journey almost 2 years ago. I think the good thing is a large number of companies, all the oil companies, some of the private companies are looking to build the infrastructure. This infrastructure is coming on stream since the last 2 years. I think we are getting to a critical mass where the ability to connect all of India in terms of LNG stations over the next 6 to 12 months' time will be complete, by which I think a large portion of trucks can move from point A to point B on LNG for sure. And I think one of the big challenges which has been solved in LNG itself is that one fill of an LNG tank can do almost 1,200 kilometers. So the need for fuel stations in absolute terms is not that large compared to the diesel trucks. And I think all the oil companies and the private companies are working at a feverish pace to ensure that we have a large connectivity across India. I'm confident that over the next 6 to 12 months' time, I think we would have a basic network which will be able to move from one end, north, south, east, west. Cargo movement will be possible. So I think LNG is well on its way to be resolved. Electric, on the other hand, I think is just the start, and I think that is going to take a little bit time, for sure, because to connect all of India on electric will take time. But I think that's where the opportunity lies, and I think people who go out and build that infrastructure, though it is challenging and will take time, I think will eventually will reap the benefit down the road.
Uh, in any kind of industry, there is always a government support which is required. And if I look at the government machinery talking about that transportation is a very important segment with respect to emission, while trucks and buses contribute to only 4% of the vehicle population, their emission contribution is more than one third. So the government too wants to contribute to this initiative, and you rightly mentioned we are at an inflection point. Which are the areas where you believe the government can contribute to fast pace this growth of this industry?
So I think the government is quite seized of the challenges which are there for converting all of our trucking fleet to green. There are a lot of I would say policy initiatives which have been started. I think the key challenge for us is the speed of infrastructure growth. That is something which needs to improve if we want to achieve it faster. Uh, and I think I must commend the government on all the initiatives that it's taking. There are a lot of incentives which are being given for conversion of not only two-wheeler, four-wheeler, but I think there is a policy which is coming out for heavy-duty movement of buses and trucks. I think on that side, I'm sure the government will provide the necessary incentives which are required for the industry when it's in a nascent phase, and maybe over a period of time that can be tapered off as we grow the current business. But from an infrastructure point of view, I think the biggest challenge is the speed of approvals. If that could be improved, I think the rollout could be significantly faster.
One of the other stakeholders in any industry progress has also been the financing part of it. If I look at traditional lenders, they are slightly behind the curve in terms of embracing new technology like EV and LNG. In such a scenario in India, I think alternate asset players can contribute significantly to help you pass this hurdle now. How do you see alternate asset market helping you to bridge this gap till the time the commercial bankers become comfortable with this technology?
Absolutely. I think the need of the hour for the commercial bankers to come on board quickly has come. This technology is not new. It's been running all over the world for the last 5 years. I think LNG has been operating since the last 12 years. It's new to India, but it's not new to the world. I think the writing is on the wall where the need for going to green mobility, the time has come. And the faster they understand that the world will move to clean energy solutions, the faster they'll be able to align their own plans to what the country requires. I think during this period, I think the alternative assets has been a big I would say, has taken a big initiative to come forth. They understood the risk, they understood the opportunity. I think a little bit quicker than the commercial banks. Their ability to back companies who want to make a big change in the entire ecosystem is very commendable, and it was much required at the point of time. I think the market is so large that there is going to be a need for all stakeholders to participate. There's a big need for the commercial banks to participate, but at the same time, the need for alternative assets to provide capital at different strata of the value proposition for financing is a big need. And I think more and more we see companies looking to participate in this, and I think this is going to be a collaborative effort of equity, alternative asset, as well as the secured lenders, all to participate to make this a successful endeavor.
Very interesting thoughts. And I think one of the area on the electric truck side is also the distance that it needs to cover. And one of the area or innovation is swappable batteries. How do you see, primarily on the trucking business, which requires long distance coverage, etc., these new technology of swappable battery can play a role in taking this industry to the next phase?
So I think swappable battery technology has already been quite successful in two-wheeler. I think a large percentage of new bikes have adopted that. I think it's coming to the heavy-duty trucking phase. In China, it's very prevalent. I mean, it's been very active, and it's been quite successful there. I think India is it's early stage, but I think it would be very interesting to see how this whole ecosystem plays out. I think it's going to be a combination of fixed charge as well as swappable batteries. So the whole ecosystem will need to participate in this entire growth. I don't think one solution is going to solve the problem. But I think there's so much innovation happening around various battery technologies that it is a really exciting time for the whole industry to keep learning, keep participating in what's happening. and I think we have to continuously keep looking out for what's happening globally. The technologies are changing, new innovations are coming, and we need to be quick to watch what's happening there and then try and adapt some of that for the Indian market. But for sure, I think all these technologies is going to make EV trucks much more competitive in the medium to long run, and that creates a huge opportunity for the whole industry in its entirety.
So, one thing when I was chatting up with some other stakeholders, people brought about interesting idea like battery as a service. Now, if I look at the capital cost of electric truck versus a diesel truck, the cost of battery plays a major role. Do you see that if the market for battery as a service evolves, we can very quickly make electric trucks as competitive as diesel truck and make it much more sense from or a business case wise more exciting proposition for corporates India?
No, this has already happened. If you see the two-wheeler, you see the four-wheeler. I think these type of things and structures have already come to the two-wheeler and the four-wheeler. I think it's a matter of time where they come to the heavier pieces of equipment, the buses and the trucks. I'm sure it's going to come at some point of time, and I think that itself is going to be a big disruption. Which is going to come because one of the biggest challenges for the industry has been the cost of assets. The moment you do that, I think it can be very similar or at par with the existing solutions of diesel trucks. So I think this is it's a matter of time where people are going to separate the battery and the vehicle. And this is going to happen across all forms, whether it is bikes, cars, buses, trucks down the road. And it's going to be a very exciting time to see this whole journey of technology change, which is happening.
And just to conclude, how do you see your company taking shape in the next 3 years? How excited are you of this opportunity?
I think we are trying to do something which is a little bit different. We are building the whole ecosystem end to end, right from power generation to manufacture to infrastructure as well as the mobility company. So we are trying to build an end to end ecosystem. So obviously it's an exciting time because we are not straddling one particular sector, but we are straddling probably four sectors in this whole solution. And as I said, the market is so large, and if we are able to play our part in decarbonizing heavy duty trucking in India, I think that would be a fantastic opportunity. At the same time, that if we can do it in a manner which is commercially viable, that would make it all the more interesting.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I think as a country, we are looking forward to making India the renewable energy capital of the world outside China. And I'm sure companies like yours are making this dream come true. Thank you for tuning into the second episode of AltWave. If you haven't seen, do check out our first episode with our MD, Srinivasan Nivasan. The link is given in the description below. Until we meet next, be curious, stay positive. Thank you.